All right, so again, 10.4, what we're going to focus on is going to be box and whisker. So before I even get to my first example, I'm going to explain what a box and whisker is. Okay? And you'll see where the name comes from. Okay? It's going to start off, and it's going to look, you'll kind of see some pictures that'll look like this. You got a dot over here. You got a dot over here. You have a box. So again, they're going to look like this. So here's the box. Here's the whiskers. Okay? That's where the name comes from. So with this first picture, I'm going to explain what every single data point that's on this number line represents. So I'd suggest writing this one down. When you have your box, this middle line is the median. So when you find your median, or not median, your mean. I wrote it wrong. I'm the worst. This one's the mean. Also, I really wish math would just call it the average like every other world. So this is the mean, this is the average. Okay, this end of the box, the one on the far left of the box, that is the number we use for quartile 1. Over here, this is the number for quartile 3. All right, down here is your smallest number. And then over here is your biggest number. So again, we don't have to write every single dot that's on there. Some box and whiskers do. I'm not going to really worry about it. The biggest thing that I want you to have is to be able to visualize. Here's where the mean's at. So that's the average. Quartile 1, quartile 3. So everything inside this box is called what? If it's in between quartile 1 and quartile 3. Interquartile range. That's what this box is. This entire box is. Again, you don't have to write the number for it. But this thing here is the interquartile range. That's what that box actually showing you. And then we start talking about these whiskers. That's the smallest number. Here's the biggest number. And I'll give you one thing to confuse you a little bit. If you have an outlier, we don't really consider that part of our data. But for right now, I'm not going to really worry about outliers. But if you see it with like one box and whisker with a pimple, that's what we'll call it. That's going to be an outlier. So it's still part of the data. It's just doesn't really fit into our picture. I'm not going to worry about the outliers for the data today. But if you ever see it, I know they put some of these ones like on Iowa assessments. ACTs will sometimes do some of this stuff. So if you ever see your box and whisker with like this weird guy over here, that's an outlier. Okay? Questions on the box and whisker part of it? Okay, so I just want to make sure you guys understood all those parts, because again, so far, you have already been able to tell me what the mean is. You guys have already been doing what quartile 1 is, quartile 3. You've been able to get the range, having your smallest number and your biggest number. You're already doing all of this, but now instead of having just writing the numbers, we're just going to make it look like a picture. Because I like pictures. People who don't like math usually like pictures. Okay? All right, so again, there's my first part here. I'm going to zoom in on both of these. This is a double box plot. Okay, meaning I have two of the box and whiskers. talking about the cost of MP3 players at different stores. We're going to compare these two in a second, but I'm going to put some numbers down. I'm going to actually write the numbers onto this picture so we will have some context for each of them. So let me zoom in. I'm not going to worry about where they come from. So let's look at the top one. This one here. What's the average price for that top? What's the mean price? 70. Okay, the average price is 70. Okay, for the interquartile range, it's going to be, for the majority of them, it'll be between like $65 and then $75. Okay, the lowest price is going to be $55. And the most expensive MP3 player is going to be $100. Okay, that's that top one. But because I've got this interquartile range, that's where the majority of data, or that's where the majority of prices are all going to be at. Okay, on to my next one. Let me get a different color. Purple it is. On to this one. My average price for this one is going to be $60. My Q1 is going to be $55. Q3 is going to be $65. The lowest price is going to be $50. And my most expensive MP3 player is going to be $80. Hopefully you see they use the exact same number line. So everything's lined up in the exact same spots. Looking at this, just as the pictures, which one has the more expensive things? The top one or the bottom one?
The top.
The top one. How could you tell? Because the numbers are bigger. I really don't need to worry about this 100, but the rest, like this big box here, is higher up in the number line. Okay, this stuff is going to be cheaper because the majority of this box is going to be lower on that number line. So if I go back to this one, we got Electronics World and Bargain Basement. Out of both of those places, let's pretend they're the same quality. We're not going to pretend like he actually stole it from somebody's basement. Okay, same quality of MP3 players. Which one of those places would you rather go shopping at? You're saying Bargain Basement. You want to go on the top one?
I don't know what you said.
Oh, I want to know which one's going to be the best deal for you. Like if you don't want to, like if you want to hold on to your money, you're probably going to hold or go to this one because they have a lot lower prices. Okay, that's where these box and whiskers can come from. If I were to write, or if they were just to give you the data and say at Electronics World, our mean price is $70. Our quartile 1 is $65. Our quartile 3 is going to be $75. And then my interquartile range is going to be 10. And then Bargain Basement did the same thing. They've got mean, Q1, Q3, and then interquartile range. Their mean is going to be 60. Quartile 1 is going to be 55. Quartile 3 is 65. And they have an interquartile range of 10 as well. Without seeing a picture, is that easy to figure out a lot of information? Or is it confusing? Does this look confusing to anyone? I'm a math teacher, and it looks confusing to me. Okay, so that's why we do that box and whisker. That's why they will show that data sometimes. Because when you just have a pile of numbers, it's confusing. For lessons 10.1 and 10.2, the book gave you a pile of numbers. You had to put that stuff in order just to even figure out what it meant. So same thing on this stuff. We're just trying to find a way that we can visually see it. Okay? So this one here, we're going to put together our box and whiskers. But in order for us to do that box and whisker, what we will do first is we're going to find all of those data points so that way we can make the box and whisker plots. So let me get a itty bitty pen. Sorry about that. Okay. Because it already is in order, I've got the numbers 28 all the way through 38. They kind of go in order. It told me how many days they had. They had, what was it, 16? Yeah, they had 16 total days. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to kind of write this down. I want my mean. I want my quartile 1, quartile 3, my IQ. Actually, I don't even need my IQR because I'm going to draw a box on that. And then I want I'm going to say the ends. Okay, so I've got 16. I'm going to count my way through it. Let me grab a different color pen. So halfway between 6 is going to be 8 of them. So between those ones, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So in between 35 and 36 is going to be where my median's at. So in between 35 and 36, what will my median be? 35.5. I added those both together and divided by 2. So my median was going to be 35.5. So again, I've got 8. I've got 8 that I counted over here. That will be the left half. 8 will be on this side. That'll be the right half. Now I'm going to focus. I'm going to grab my highlighter just like every other time. These numbers right here are going to be for my quartile 1. This stuff will be for my quartile 3. So I've got 8 on the left side. So that means I'm just going to count 4 of them. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So my middle of my next quartile will be in between these two. So for quartile 1, I've got 34 and 34. What's the average of those two? 34. Okay. On the quartile 3, here's 4, here's 4. So my quartile 3 is going to be in between 36 and 37. So my average for that would be 36.5. And then looking for the ends, what's the smallest number on that top one? Find this out. My smallest number is 32. And my biggest number would be 37. So I'll have 32 and then 37. Those are all the numbers that I'll put together. I'm going to do the same thing for Annika real quick. For Annika, I've got my mean, quartile 1, quartile 3, then I have my ends. Again, 16 data points again. So I'm going to count over in between my 8th and 9th one. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. My mean is going to be right between those two. So I'll kind of make my little line. So my mean will be in between 32 and 32. What's the average of those ones? 32. I'm going to get out my handy dandy highlighter. So for my first data set, he'll be my first 8. For my second group of numbers, my quartile 3 will be all of those ones. So for quartile 1, I'm going to count over 4 of them in between the 4th and the 5th one. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So my quartile 1 is going to be between 31 and 31, which is? Yeah. So quartile 1 is between 31 and 31, which is 31. For my quartile 3, I'm going to count over for those ones. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It'll be right there. So in between 35 and 35, which is 35. And then on my ends, what's the smallest number for the bottom one? 30. What's my biggest number? 38. Okay, I've got all my data right there. I'm going to make my number line. Keep going right there. Perfect. All right. So the smallest numbers I need to go all the way down to 30. I need to go all the way up to 38. We got 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38. All right. I'm going to start off. My first box and whisker is going to be on top of that number line. I'm going to use the same number line to compare both the data. But my first one, I'm just going to make my dots or my marks. My smallest number is going to be at 32. My biggest number is at 37. As soon as I make those two sides, I connect the dots to both my whiskers. Okay, my mean for this top one is at 35.5. My quartile 1 is at 34. My quartile 3 is at 36.5. Then I just make my box. Just make my straight lines over it. So again, I make my whiskers or the dots for the ends. And then I'll draw a line at the mean, quartile 1, quartile 3, and just put a box over the top of it. Okay, on the bottom one, I'm going to do the same thing. I need a dot at my lowest one and a dot at my highest one. So 30 and 38. Straight line across. My mean is 32. Put a line. My quartile 1 is at 31. Quartile 3 is at 35. Put another line. And then I just box those ones up. Kind of seeing where those stuff's coming from. Give me a thumbs up or thumbs down. Okay, I'm seeing thumbs up. I'm not going to make us keep on doing like the other 5 of those. It's just going to be the exact same sort of thing. So what I want you to do each time, find the ends, find the mean, find the quartile 1, find the quartile 3. You're going to have two of the first one where you just have to figure out what the data is. And then one of them where you are going to create your very own. All right, so the one that I want you to do, the ones I want you to do, number 3, number 3, 4, and 5. Okay, I want you to do all of those.
What page?
Page 458. Page 4, 58, 3 through 5. Numbers 3 and 5, those ones, 3 and 5, you will have 2 different box plots. Your job is just to tell me the mean, quartile 1, quartile 3, and the ends. And then number 4, you're going to make 1 double box plot. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, this dot one is supposed to be there.
Oh, okay.
There was one extra dot. It was only supposed to be 16 dots. So, when I erased, like before I did this, I had it covered up in white so you couldn't see it. And then I accidentally erased stuff to make sure it was bigger. And my white out little spot.